Yeah. Great.
6 o'clock.
It is 6 o'clock, and I'll call to order the East Dundee special meeting of the Village Board dated Monday, June 24th, 2024. Franco, will you take the roll, please?
Sure. Trustee Mahoney.
Here.
Trustee Britton.
Here.
Trustee Sauter.
Here.
Trustee Saviano.
Here.
Trustee Schreiber.
Here.
Trustee Kunze.
Present.
And President Lineham is absent.
Let's
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The motion to seat Trustee Mahoney as presiding chair.
We would need a motion to seat Trustee Mahoney as presiding chair for the meeting tonight.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustee Mahoney.
Yes.
Trustee Britton.
Yes.
Trustee Sauter.
Yes.
Trustee Saviano.
Yes.
Trustee Schreiber.
Yes.
And Trustee Kunze.
Yes.
Alrighty. Next up is public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address us on agenda or non-agenda items? No? All right. Great. Then moving on to the consent agenda, are there any items on the consent agenda listed that anyone would like to have removed before we make a motion?
Just for clarification, the resolution before you is the resolution that's included in the consent agenda. There was a typo that we noticed, so that's just a cleaner copy of what's already in the packet regarding the BDD funds.
Okay.
Which is for the facade.
Got it. Got it. That would be item G.
Yes. All right.
So, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I will move to approve regular village board meeting minutes dated May 20th of 2024. I will move to approve joint village board and planning and zoning and historic district workshop meeting minutes dated May 30th, 2024. I will also move to approve regular village board meeting minutes dated June 3rd, 2024. I will move to accept the warrants list in the amount of $268,422.59. I will also move to approve an ordinance amending Chapter 121 of the East Dundee Village Code regarding raffle application and raffle manager requirements. I will move to approve a resolution adopting a mural policy. I will move to approve a resolution authorizing a fiscal year 2024 Dundee Crossings Business Development District BDD facade improvement grant in the amount of $25,000 to Kathleen Bergeron of the Mockingbird and Garden. And I will move to approve an ordinance approving the issuance of a TIF note to PAL Land LLC, Christina Drive TIF District, TIF note number 9, in the amount of $37,955.71. And I will also move to approve an ordinance approving an issuance of a TIF note to PAL Land Route 25 TIF District, TIF note 11, in the amount of $127,881.95.
Second. Yes.
Trustee Mahoney.
Yes.
Trustee Britton.
Yes.
Trustee Sauter.
Yes.
Trustee Saviano.
Yes.
Trustee Schreiber.
Yes.
And Trustee Kunze.
Yes.
Moving on to other agenda items. Motion for item A.
I will make a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the execution of the agreement for TIF planning services between Vanderwall and Associates and the Village of East Dundee.
Second.
Discussion. I believe we have someone from Vanderwall here to make a presentation. Welcome back.
A little bit. Hi, Scott Harrington with Vanderwall Associates. Glad to be back in town. It's been quite a while, and just driving around near downtown, and even for a Monday night, just really impressed with people out riding bikes and walking around. And I know even some of the restaurants are closed. Just very lively and really wonderful. So, as some of you may know, we created all your TIFs and BDDs except one. The original Prairie Lakes was done before we got involved in the early 2000s, but all the ones since then we've been involved with, including the Caterpillar latest one that was done sort of in the middle of COVID. When Erica gave us a call to talk about a couple of new TIFs, I was really excited to get that. Really haven't been involved since Caterpillar, but looking forward to being involved again with the Doderline property and then also with the former Hager site. So I actually started already driving around taking pictures. Our scope's pretty straightforward in creating new TIF districts to cover those two respective sites. First step in the process is making sure that it meets the qualifications to be in a TIF district, and under the Illinois code you kind of have either a blighted district or what they call a conservation district where the buildings are so many years old. I think either would qualify as either, but criteria are slightly different. There's sort of a list of criteria. I have to meet so many of them in order to qualify. So we'll take a look at that and see which one is really the best fit. After that, the two TIFs operate absolutely the same. So it's just a matter of how you qualify. But once the TIF is in place, in terms of being able to spend funds and collect increment, they're identical. So that would be the first step. And then the second step would be creating the project plan, how much value you expect to gain within each district, and then also what are your project costs going to be. So whether that's infrastructure, whether that's assisting developers, all of that would kind of be included in there. There's a process involved, as I'm sure you know, that involves the joint review board, so you have a member of the school district and the county, of course, yourselves. And so we would prepare the documents necessary for that and plan to attend those meetings, as well as the public hearing and your ultimate, decision. From an efficiency standpoint, it would be great to kind of put these on the same track, because that way there's only one set of meetings instead of two. But if somehow one gets delayed or you don't want to move forward, we can split those up. But otherwise, we would try to have the joint review board and the public hearing, and you all act on both districts at those same meetings so that we can move them both along. And that also makes the notices that are required a lot more efficient as well, especially for those that are published. So that's kind of a quick overview of the process. We did work with your legal counsel on the Caterpillar TIF, and I understand the individual who was involved with that is now with your firm, and so and I understand he could be involved here, and that was a great partnership with him as we kind of went through that. It was a unique district, the business park district, and it was kind of a moon and stars alignment to get it to qualify in the middle of COVID. So I'm sure we'll run into some nuances here, especially since at least the Doderline property is already in a TIF, and so we're kind of re-TIFing it, and we'll work through those issues as well. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, but we're ready to start work right away. We expect this to be about a 3-4 month process.
I do have one question, and that is, would it be worth exploring the idea of adding to the Hager TIF also the strip of buildings on Route 72 from, say, the Vans to the building at the end with the cell class, that strip to the Hager TIF while we're at it?
Certainly something we can explore with the consultant, and if they think it makes sense, we can bring that back and make the adjustment.
Okay.
So to incorporate it would also incorporate like the Dairy Queen building.
Well, I don't know if we would have to go across the street to Route 72,
Does it
but we
have to be
could.
contiguous?
It does have to be contiguous.
Right, but I'm talking on the Hager side.
Oh, on the Hager side, no,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something we can look at. I can't remember what the southern boundary of the downtown TIF is. It may already cover that south side of 72. So they may already be in the downtown TIF.
Right.
But we'll look at that.
I mean, we're talking about the Doderline TIF is also in the downtown
Right.
already. So I mean, it would maybe just be the same sort of theory on that.
Sure.
I think that makes a lot of sense to evaluate whether or not we should include that, so
Yeah. Yeah, the Hager site,
ask the question.
being vacant, is clearly blighted, and so as far as the blighting criteria, and there's sort of being a predominance of blight within the district, we could definitely bring in property that might not otherwise qualify as blight, but could be included within the TIF.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks.
Any other questions from anyone? Sarah? You good?
Nope, I'm trying to find which direction
It's all good. All right, thank you.
Yeah,
Nice to
thank
see
you.
you again.
Yeah, look
Thank
forward to working
you.
with
Thank
you.
Yeah, thank you.
So we do need to,
And then,
okay, take roll call.
yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Britton?
Yes.
Trustee Sauter?
Yes.
Trustee Saviano?
Yes.
Trustee Triber?
Yes.
And Trustee Kunzi?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, Chief, you're up. I'm sure you have a fancy, shiny report for us.
I wanted to keep that rolling after Chief Kruger did one last year. I thought it was well done last year, so we're going to keep that rolling every year. First, I just want to say thanks to you all. I had the opportunity 2 weekends ago to go back to my alma mater, college alma mater at Knox College, and via social media and through friendships over the years, a lot of the guys wanted to know how are things going. This was a football reunion, I should specify. A lot of the guys wanted to know how things were going, and one of the things that I kept repeating was that I feel really lucky because I have a very supportive village board, very supportive village president, and a very supportive village administrator. I've got a lot of friends in this business that are chiefs and deputy chiefs who can't say that, and when we get together and chat, sometimes the conversation is directed towards, I got this problem, this problem, this problem. And I'm really happy to say that I don't feel that way. I feel very well supported, so thank you all.
Okay.
So we're going to run down calls for service, part 1, part 2 offenses, service calls, false alarms, traffic crashes, traffic enforcement, DUI arrests, and major incidents. And then we'll finish up with kind of looking ahead into 2024. So calls for service, we were down to 27 this year, from 4,977 last year to 4,950 this year. Pretty even, right, year to year. Our Part 1 offenses, now what Part 1 offenses mean to us is your major felonies. These are crimes against persons. I'm happy to report that we were down 97, and I think a lot of that is attributed to theft over $500 is a Part 1 offense because it reaches the felony level. And in 2022, we got a lot of those out of the Palumbo property because of stolen semis and stolen property and stuff. And I believe that our outreach with them and our working relationship with them has helped reduce that. They've implemented some of the suggestions that we've made over the year and a half that I've been here. And that's cut down on some of the theft that's gone out there. Part 2 offenses are your misdemeanor offenses. We're down quite a bit in 2023 on that, from 205 last year to 156 this year. These would be things such as theft under $500, your simple battery calls, various other misdemeanor offenses that fall under there. Our calls for service. Now, this is service calls, so in my opinion, this should be explained to you. So service calls are things such as alarm calls. This is suspicious persons. These are the calls that we go to that are dispatched by Quadcom, but they don't charge us for us. Like they charge us a per call fee. These are not the calls that we're charging. These are more self-initiated field activity type calls.
I found a dog.
Right, exactly. You got it.
Yeah, sorry, I cost the village some money.
That would be a call for service, right?
Yeah.
We're not charged by Quadcom for those type of calls.
Right.
Can I?
Ambulance assists would fall into that as well.
This is basically the non-emergency number.
Correct.
Can I ask a quick question?
You bet.
That I noticed in the report, we're up pretty dramatically in assisting fire department and assisting ambulance calls.
Mhm.
Is that kind of under the calls for service, or is it?
That's not something Quadcom would charge us for. That would be calls for service. Yeah.
Okay.
In those, we would go to fire rescue calls when, generally speaking, we can beat them there, right? Depending on where it's dispatched to. And if this is a life-threatening type call, let's say somebody's performing CPR, there's a major bleed or something, and we can get there first, we're going to go to those to try to provide aid before the fire department gets there.
It just seemed like it jumped more than double from last year, so
Gotcha.
it's like a shocking number.
And I will say, we're doing a lot of assisting other departments too. I think you made note of that in my biweekly reports.
Yeah.
We're doing a lot of assists to West Dundee and Carpentersville, so that would all add into False alarms were up quite a bit. I really can't explain that. I know that we'll get a lot of false alarms in the morning. Typically, it's a business owner who might not have put the code in or something and tripped the alarm, and we're getting there, and thankfully they're false alarms.
Can we charge people for that?
I believe our ordinance says that we can, after a set amount of false alarms, we can charge them for it. And to be fair, we've warned businesses, like, hey, this is X amount of false alarms we've gotten. You know, you need to fix your alarm system.
Right.
Auto dealerships were notorious for that, and of course we lost one of those. Total traffic crashes, 276 this year, pretty flat from last year at 291. Not quite sure why it was so high in 2019. In 2020 we can explain, in 2021 a little bit can explain by the less traffic due to COVID. Traffic crashes. So thankfully, knock on wood, no fatal crashes in 2023. We had 35 personal injury accidents and then 241 property damage only accidents. Citations issued, 1,292 moving violations were issued to 341 parking violations, both which were up quite a bit from the year before. And I just got to pat our officers on the back for that, because that's all self-initiated field activity. Now, of course, sometimes you'll get a call into Quadcom where somebody's driving recklessly or dangerously, and we're able to catch up to those type of calls, and that would count on this. But primarily, those numbers are due to self-initiated field activity by our officers.
When they're out patrolling?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a good group who really likes to go out there and do traffic. And to be frank, we've got 3 state highways, major highways, that a lot of traffic going through town, and that's a large part of their duties.
Sure.
DRS are down slightly to 23 in 2023.
I can't believe that number's so low.
Yeah. I mean, we live in the age of Uber and Lyft, so we were just joking about that earlier today, that, you know, it's hard for me to fathom why somebody would get behind the wheel intoxicated now, when it's just so easy not to.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's DUI arrest when they're in the car.
You got it.
Okay, when they're driving.
Right. This is the comparison between East Dundee and West Dundee, and I pulled these stats from Quadcom. Last year, I should say, in 2023, we were at 15 full-time officers. We handled 5,957 calls for service. That is the combined number of calls for service, like the non-emergency ones, and the ones that were dispatched to. So that's those 2 numbers combined. That's where the 5,957 comes from. To break that down a little bit more, we're handling 397 calls per full-time officer to West Dundee handling 270.45 call per full-time officer. Now, I wanted to make note on there, what's not counted in there when I did the stats for full-time officers. We also had a contingent of 6 part-time officers for a large part of 2023. 2 of those officers became full-time officers, and then 1 more of them left. So we're down to 4 part-time officers currently. Major incidents from last year. The first one is the aggravated discharge of a firearm. That actually happened about 2 weeks before I joined the village. It happened from a gang dispute at a funeral that was going on here in town. Oops, sorry. The search warrant drug arrest involving King County SWAT. I'm really proud of the officer who took the initiative on this one. Not to get too long-winded, but he did a lot of good work. He did some trash pulls. Like, we got some information that this particular house in town was a drug house. Lots of traffic in and out. We knew the players inside of the house had a long rap sheet that were full of drug-related offenses. So he would sit on a house, garner information, and he actually started doing trash pulls at nights, which require search warrants. So he'd take the initiative to go get the search warrants to do the trash pulls, which is not glorious work, of course.
No.
You bring the trash back to our carport here in the back, dump it out, go through it, and then you find all the indicia of drug paraphernalia, and look at like the baggies and all the stuff used to weigh and that type of stuff. You end up getting enough information together to get a search warrant on the home and an arrest warrant for the major player in the incident. That was one of my first calls for service, if you will, as an East Dundee deputy chief. I was previously on the McHenry County SWAT team, so it was fun to be able to do quote-unquote real police work again briefly. So, but Kevin Lawson was the one. He was recently promoted to sergeant. He was the officer behind that, did a lot of great work. He ended up with felony drug charges on the suspect. Aggravated battery mob action. It was a bigger fight that originated at DC Cobb's that we were made some arrests out of. And this last one is the aggravated discharge of a firearm, where a couple of houses here in our town got struck by bullets that were fired from a gas station in Carpentersville jurisdiction. Unfortunately, they hit some of our houses. And we're still looking to try and garner information on who, we have an idea who did it. It's just a matter of being able to prove it so we can get charges approved by the state attorney's office. So looking ahead for 2024, I'm going to hit on personnel quite a bit here real quick, because last year we had a lot of promotions internally. I got promoted to chief. I have promoted Andy Ritter to deputy chief, and I got to say, man, has he made life easy. He's doing a great job. He's made my life really easy. Good promotion, and he's doing a great job. Got to promote Jessica Marinos to from detective to patrol sergeant, and then Kevin Lawson recently, which was this year, was promoted to sergeant as well. We lost one of our members this year, so we've actually been able to find 2 newer, younger officers that are going to come aboard here very soon. One is Angel Chaidez. He joins us from Bloomington. He's supposed to start July 15th. He actually is a certified officer, but he still has to go through our field training program, so it'll be roughly 3 months or so before he's trained up and he'll be able to be on his own on the street in a squad car taking calls for service. And then in August 26th, George Moretti is going to join the department. He'll attend SLEA Police Academy. Police Academy runs roughly 3 to 4 months. So we'll get him for field training right about the start of the new year in 2025. And then hopefully he'll be out taking calls for service on his own sometime around April of 2025. Really looking forward to those 2 joining us. They're both bright young men. I want to say early to mid-20s, so be great additions for the police department.
Did you have any issues with recruiting?
Tons. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, just a quick story. The testing process went out. We got 20 applications. Of those 20, 18 of those applicants turned in all the required documents, and that was despite me contacting them and say, "Hey, you're missing X, Y, and Z," and they still didn't submit it correctly. So of those 18, 14 of them wanted to move on to the interview process. Unfortunately, 6 of those no-showed their interview, which is just bizarre to me, but that's the era we're in right now. And there's a lot of police jobs out there, and people can get hired pretty quick. So of those, we ended up with 8 on our new hire list. We went through the first 4 or so pretty quickly, couldn't pass backgrounds, and then finally we landed on the 2 that we were able to hire. We've also had the lateral process open. We've gotten several of those applications. Those usually boil down to background process, doing the backgrounds, finding something that they're just not a good fit for East Dundee. So culture is really important to me, and bringing in the right people to add to our culture. So if I find something in the background that just doesn't sit well for me, then we move on. Also, in 2024, we're looking forward to, knock on wood here, we should be receiving 2 new squad cars to our fleet as part of the enterprise leasing system. It's been a long time coming. We expected them last year about this time, but due to shortages and part shortages and labor shortages, here we are. Hopefully within the next month or 2, we'll see 2 brand new squad cars.
Do we feel like that's an enterprise issue, or do we feel like that's just a reality?
It's just a reality in the fleet world right now. Enterprise has actually been really communicative, telling me what's going on. Again, it's a combination of backed up supply, I know stemming all the way from COVID, which is getting better. But then once you get your car, you still need to have the parts. So a lot of times we're missing the parts that they need. They're on back order, we'll finally get to them, and then it's labor, right? So we actually had to switch the outfitting company from one outfit to another just because of the other company wasn't able to get us in for almost a year. And then outside of that, I'm really excited for the future. I feel like we've got a lot of great things going on. I feel like a lot of the things that you guys talk about that you guys are initiating and putting into play here in the city, parking garage is coming. Just really excited about what the future holds. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Great.
Thank you.
We're happy to have you.
Yes. Can I ask one quick question though? Sorry, Chief, I'm going to bother you for just a second. In the presentation, there was the senior scam prevention presentation, which I think is excellent. Will we continue that this year?
I'll look to do that every year. Yeah.
Can we expand on that too? Because there are other locations in town that could probably use it. So I think it might be good to look at River Haven, in there too.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So they're just in maybe one at the senior center or something like
What
that.
I did in that presentation, it was Chief Kruger and I talked about basically the 10 most prevalent scams that target elderly. There's a lot of online scams that unfortunately people fall for, so I targeted that in that presentation.
I think it would be great.
Sure.
I love that it happened. I think it would be great to even expand it to a couple other locations in town.
Too easy, as
That'd
we
be,
say in the air.
that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Rinse and repeat. Anyone else have any questions for Chief? Making him stand up again?
Up and down and up and down.
Just joking.
Okay.
Alrighty. And then we'll move down to the request for proposals conversation. Do you want to kick that off? Or
Sure.
someone else to kick that off?
Very exciting. Finally got to the day where we can say that the acquisition of Hager is complete, and now it's time to start envisioning what can possibly go there. So there's an RFP in the packet. Welcome any and all feedback. If there's things you want to see added to it, if there's things you want to see deleted from it, whatever feedback you have, we'll incorporate, and we'll try to get it out later this week or early next.
So this is our opportunity. It won't come back for like some official release or anything like that, right? This is the opportunity.
time.
So I want to make it very clear to the public that this is being released. Like apparently we've had issues in the past where people don't know there's an RFP.
Well, I have an intention to email some of the copies.
Okay, good.
And we'll also put it in the newsletter and on the
Yes.
website.
Even though that's been done before.
I know.
Because there are also requirements in this RFP. Please read it thoroughly. There are application requirements. Thank you. That's all I want to say.
I guess my question is, I did see in here that, let me see if I can find it again. The proposed purchase price is $10. And I understand why we're doing that, but do we want to put that in there? Like, why, what's the point of putting it in there? That's, I guess, my question.
I think that the point of putting that in there is that anybody who's going to respond to this RFP is going to have to put considerable time, effort, and cost into preparing a response. Because if we're asking for site plans, even if they are very rudimentary, those will be costly. And then do the due diligence that's required to evaluate the phase 1 and phase 2 reports that we've already completed. And so if somebody is going to go through all of that time, energy, and effort, they have to understand that we are clear on what we're dealing with and that we are not having unrealistic expectations of what we are asking them to do. So if we didn't put that in there, I feel like we wouldn't get a large response because people might say, well, they might want me to pay $500,000 for this property and therefore it's just a waste of time to respond. So the clear is good, and being upfront and transparent and understanding what we're working with, I think will show that we're serious and that we're going to get a good project, versus sort of being more vague might sway some people away from deciding to respond.
I mean, when it comes down to the financial, I had the same question.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to like financial considerations, TIF and purchase price, it's on them to demolish the existing structures, do all the remediation, the cost, bear the cost of moving the cellular antenna if they don't want it there. So it's already kind of setting out the framework of what the base of the negotiation is, of where the village wants to start.
Mm-hmm.
And they do have to prove any request for rebates, so I feel like we'll get some good figures on what they estimate it's going to cost to accomplish those tasks,
Mm-hmm.
and how much of it they might be asking to be rebated back to them over time.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the alternative is the village takes on the expense right now of demolishing the building and then prepping the site to be clean for somebody to come in and build on. And that just extends the timeline, and it's not our area of expertise, and it just is laden with a lot of stuff that we probably would leave to somebody who has more expertise.
Okay.
I had a question about the two homes on the southeast corner, because there has been some talk about it. One of them has a historic plate on it, and so just for like transparency, are they in need of having to be demoed because there's asbestos or something going on in there? Is it part of what would be demoed, just for those that are the preservationists to understand what is going to happen or potential happen with those houses?
Right, so my understanding is that neither one of them are required to be kept in place as they are, but if the board wanted to offer them to anybody who wanted to move them or keep them or salvage them, we could do that. We haven't evaluated whether or not they have any existing conditions that would require them to be demolished, but that could be part of the due diligence that is done while we have people coming in to give us demo estimates. So that question is a question for the board to consider and decide. We don't really have a recommendation at this point, other than the Riverfront Master Plan does contemplate straightening out that road a little bit so it's not such a hard curve. And so that would require the removal of those homes. But that's,
Because I don't think it would.
no?
It would put them on an island, I guess.
A
But
little pork chop in their own.
if, I think that only one of those homes would realistically,
The corner one.
need
With
to
the
be
plant.
considered to be kept. And I don't know, I've kind of been thinking about what if we, offered it to the Dundee Historical Society to set up something there, like a East Dundee Museum or something, or Hager involved museum or something like that. I don't know, it's just a thought, but yeah, I think that if we did do that extension or that cut through, it would almost lend itself to that, because now it would be kind of on its own spot there that we could, set up as like a little tiny, public area almost. It's got that and maybe a small park or just parking for that. I don't know. But it is something that I thought about. I don't know. The Riverfront Plan also carves up a good chunk of that property as well, which, should we put anything in there about the Riverfront Plan?
So I did add the Riverfront Plan as an attachment at the end, along with the Phase 1 and the Phase 2. I think it probably does make sense to include some kind of context for somebody to understand what the direction is from the board on the implementation of the master plan. So say, like, if there's a consensus that everybody agrees that the master plan was sort of this visioning that was idea generation and isn't like it has to be this, that there's some flexibility. We can put that language in there so that people have a clear understanding of if they're supposed to follow it to a T or if they can be a little bit more creative and not necessarily go by exactly what was in the plan.
Yes.
I think that's what I would say, that it's, I don't think a pickleball court is requirement for
Right.
the area. We must have a pickleball court.
I mean, the green space, you have noted in here, that's on the west side of River Street, would need to be, that part of the property would need to be converted to green space. But, that's kind of a slide-in area for that conversation of your master plan for Riverfront.
Yeah, I was just trying to get ahead of the narrative of, there's a historic plate on there, and all of a sudden people from East Dundee don't care about historical buildings anymore. That's what I could just see happening.
That should have sailed.
Yeah. But
Sorry.
But yeah, so something to think about.
Can I ask a quick question about the site visits? Can I take a left turn?
Yeah.
So the dates we have for the site visits are July 25th and August 19th. But then one of the question and answer sessions is before the first site visit. Is that intentional? So the first virtual Q&A session is before the first site visit, and the second Q&A is after the second? Is that purposeful?
It was.
Okay.
Because I think both meetings have very different goals.
Yep.
And so I think it's okay to do one without having the other first.
Cool.
And should we put something in about just like a rough range of population density or housing density that we will accept or won't accept? It seems like on the last one, the one on this hill, it was way too dense, way too big, and they went through a lot of work to find out that that was something the neighborhood would not put up with. So if there's like some kind of guideline of if we're looking for mixed-use retail with residential above, no more than 2 stories total or 3 total, or how many units should fit into the square footage, just so that we put some like guardrails on what I think the neighborhood is not going to like really high density, really tall apartment buildings put there. So I'm not sure where exactly we draw the line, but I think some kind of guidelines on wanting the homes to look historical and matching the homes around them, possibly, and then also maybe capping the density at some point.
One of my thoughts on that, though, is like casting a wide net might make more sense, because then it's on that company to see what's in the area and like what would fit. Like a high rise wouldn't fit our town.
Yeah.
And that I feel like should be on them as business to design something that
Yeah, I guess
could fit.
my only concern is, I think to Andy's point, not getting the right response that we want. You know, if we want a certain, like if we want to say no more than 2 stories, we should kind of say no more than 2 stories. You know, match the surrounding area.
I think that's so hard, though. It's such a big property that it's like, what if someone has something where it's maybe 3 and then 2, and it actually it works.
And
You know, I
that's-
think it's difficult to like limit the creative process from that point.
And I think that it's important to provide context for what we're trying to achieve here. So if the priority is to not have to put any additional public funds towards this redevelopment, then you're going to end up with a denser site. If you want a less dense site, we're going to have to kick in more money, because it will require more money to build if it's not going to have a return on the investment. And the other side of that coin is, if we restrict it too much, we may get nothing, because there may not be anything that's feasible, which is okay. Like, we could test the waters, and if you get nothing, you can go back and start over. But then again, you lose that, are we ready and willing to deal with the reality of the situation, which is that it's going to be very costly to demolish those buildings and to haul all that debris away, and then to remediate that soil, and then to, you know, make the green space that we want. So
There's a lot of asks
there's
already.
a lot of
Yeah.
asks. And I think a smart developer won't propose something that is so not fitting in with the neighborhood that it wouldn't pass muster. But especially because this site is so large, we're likely to get very savvy developers. Not to discredit anybody or take anything away from what anybody else has done, but this site is sort of in a different league than anything we've done before because of its size and its location.
And
So I think it's going to be very
remediation.
attractive to a lot of developers. But I do want to convey in the RFP that there has to be sensitivity to the context of the neighborhood and something that is site appropriate. But like I said, professional developers will know this, and they'll have a pulse on what would fit and what wouldn't. But I think it probably does make sense to have some kind of language in there that talks about, I mean, obviously, I don't want to say obviously. Do you want to go 4 stories or less? Like, I don't know. I wouldn't suggest to go 5. Like, I think that's too tall, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But does it make sense to say 4 or less is still something that would be considered without even knowing?
Does it makes it more sense to say something like maintaining a consciousness of the surrounding area?
Franco?
If I may, under the purpose, in a sentence, we could always add words like eventually purchase the property to construct a right-sized mixed-unit commercial residential or solely residential unit that fits and complements the neighborhood. So at least they have a general understanding. It's
Yeah.
not coming with a high-rise or something.
I like that.
Because quantifying it scares me.
Right.
Like, I don't,
Right.
I'm not a developer.
Not only that, but I think that we have it in our code already, that they can't build a 5-story building, I think, don't we?
Well, the property's zoned M1 for manufacturing right now, so
Yeah, that's
it
true.
needs to be rezoned, and so that conversation will need to be had at some point in time. I mean, I think
Is it R2, is it R3?
it'll probably be a natural conversation point as part of the
Right.
new comprehensive plan. But the other side of the coin is we restrict it so much that we end up looking at this factory for the next 10 years, and we don't really want to do that.
Yeah.
Please no.
No, please no. I think I like Franco's suggestion.
Yeah, I think what Frank
Yeah.
says is what we're looking for.
And I think it would be helpful if we had, if we could even just pull some numbers to say, how much would it cost to make it just residential, single family homes, and like just come up with like what the hypothetical cost is like each home would be $7 million. We can't, or whatever it is, like having something to say, we did look at that, here's why we didn't do it, and we need to go this other route,
Yeah.
would be helpful when we get to that point.
We have the all-electric build in as a requirement? Is that standard?
It's not standard.
Okay.
That would be a first for the Village of East Dundee. But I do think it makes a lot of sense, mostly because it reduces utility costs for whoever is going to live there by a pretty significant margin. So it may cost slightly more upfront, but it will decrease the cost to operate the building and for the people who live in the building. But if we want to take it out, we can certainly do that.
Just wanted to say it out loud since it was in here and it's been a point
I'm sorry,
before.
repeat
so.
what you said before, and where is that?
In the submittal requirements, it's item 3. Commitment to sustainability and
Oh,
all
yeah.
electric build.
We're sitting in a Leeds building.
Hey, I like it, but
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm saying it out loud.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else.
Me neither.
Great, thank you.
Rich, you good?
I'm good. I think it sounds good. So fingers crossed. And my thing is, no higher than 4. I mean, on that area is going to be huge, anyways. So
Yeah.
3.
3 is,
But the other thing too is, I think what you were saying, restricting it. Let's just kind of let them have the free flow and see what they bring. Because I mean, look what happened with the parking garage. That came out. Got some good ideas out of that one. So I'm kind of eager to see what these builders are going to be able to bring back, and it's exciting times.
I know a trustee that must be well versed in partnering with them on that.
partner,
Any
maybe.
builder?
Yeah.
And it is on a
Yeah,
hill,
you did a
so
great job with that.
kind of could step to 3 stories on one end and be only 1 on the other, and have more like a downtown retail
Have
face to
step
it.
back
and-
or whatever.
So yeah,
So
it'd
there's
be
terraces.
interesting to just see what they come up with without a lot of rules.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Good. Great.
Thank you.
All right. Now, a subject I know none of us want to talk about. Selection of a location for the post clock on the depot line.
Is this discussion or a motion?
Yeah, it's a selection, and it's not a motion because it's under the 25. It's under the discretion
I like option one, but that's just me.
Really?
Which,
Oh, that's in the back.
we're going to talk about placement?
That's-
Let's talk about placement first.
That's what's on here. That's what we have.
Yeah, and then,
Yeah, I like option one, centered to the depot, and it feels, I like that it looks like an old-time train station clock. I mean, nobody needs clocks now, but it does adds to the charm of the downtown, and feels like this is an old train station, like it connects to what makes that
Yeah.
a cool area.
yeah.
Can I ask a question about option one though? Because that is smack in the middle of tree lighting ceremony.
It's okay, kids can climb on it.
Kid proof it.
Yeah, kid proof it.
Think of all the lights that'll be on.
No,
it.
I was in favor of either 1 or 3 because it
Yeah.
is more in that planting area and it's right next to the and adjacent. Number 2 seemed like it was off in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and we're gonna.
I liked one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One just seemed like it fit better.
My only thing with
Good
one was
symmetry.
when it becomes Whoville.
Scott, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't have a strong feeling on any of them, to be honest with you, so if you guys all like one, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
That was
So,
easy.
Place number 1.
What are we gonna write on it, though? That's my question.
What's it gonna
The
say?
Village of East Dundee.
East Dundee Country Club.
East Dundee established, and we'll pick a different number.
Pick a year.
They're all different.
So I don't think we have enough room to say Village of East Dundee, so I think we
Just say East Dundee.
could go with East Dundee and then, discussing whether,
Well, there's established.
so established at the bottom, should we do when the village was established, when the depot was established? People have feelings about that.
I think it's the village
I
personally.
think the village.
Okay.
It's going to be weird, like this vintage ancient looking clock, and it's going to be 1980 something.
Yeah.
1980.
Yeah,
It's a disconnect for me.
totally.
So
Yeah.
East Dundee on the top, established.
Or East Dundee and then Depot.
Well, yeah, could depot go on there? That's kind of like what everyone called it, the depot.
Yeah,
Instead of established?
That's
Yeah.
not it.
yeah.
I mean, I'm okay with either of those, the date or Depot.
Yeah, same.
I would also say, I don't know if I like red for that.
It's okay.
I was going to ask that
It's
question.
okay. There's lots of suggestions to change it, so I
Yeah.
actually forgot to ask Phil if we can get it in any other color, because I saw 4 colors on the website, but I was wondering if,
I like the color that's in the picture.
The black.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I think the black is sharp as well.
Like antiqued, where you can see some of like the copper.
This is like the brick conversation all over again.
Oh my gosh. Like twitching.
Do I need to stand up and show you the different colors?
Well, I was going to ask if red was like East Dundee's like pop color, because we have a lot of teals and all that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
they're like almost complementary. I'm like, is this like our thing now? Are we adding red pops? I don't know.
Yeah, the red
Yeah.
seems like it's coming out of nowhere, like nothing's red down there, is it? I can't think of anything.
The red felt very British, London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like matching the fire
Phone
hydrants.
booth too.
Yes,
Yes.
to me, and that was my first reaction. I don't feel this is just like ridiculous conversation. It does represent.
well, next week we're going to recommend we purchase a phone booth.
No,
That would be so.
Now it's all
having
coming
been in one
together.
too many phone booths in New York City, having no.
So the color in the picture, which is like a black, it looks like maybe.
Yeah, the black or the bronze.
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 I'm fine
Yeah,
with
the
that
black
one.
matches all the other light poles,
Mhm.
and kind
Yeah.
of anchors in the middle of that area, flanked by the other black ones.
Right.
So it seems like the most natural color to pick.
And there's so many wonderful businesses that are doing awnings with black with white already, so it's kind of a color theme that we put in the new parking lot. So it's kind of
Yeah, and everybody's favoring the 2-sided or the 4-sided?
Well, the estimate is for the two-sided, right?
Jeff did want me to convey, because he's not here, that he preferred the 4-sided. Did we get a quote for the 4-sided too?
Did not.
Okay, but we can go back and get that.
Four-sided is cool too.
yeah.
I like this.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, I'm going to be
Yeah.
totally honest. It's a little weird to me to discuss this right now when we have so many other things going on, but
Right.
I love it. It's like I absolutely love this, but it's just to me like a little weird.
You've got to sprinkle in the fun stuff too,
I
you know.
guess.
Yeah. Would you, next time rather we send it to the Arts Council?
Yes.
We actually would have sent it to the Depot Council if we had a.
Yes.
We had to
So
do
it
our
would have
council.
landed in your lap.
If we
Yeah,
had
there
the
you
Depot
go.
Council
If
formed.
we
Been
ever
there.
get if we get appointed to it.
Yes.
Mhm.
All right, we'll get a quote for the four-sided. If it's over 25,000, this will be back on the agenda at a future date.
It's over 25,000, we're going two-sided.
Yeah, that's
Well, that's a good.
Yes.
I'm fine with that.
correct.
yes.
That is absolutely correct. If it's over 25,000, nix it.
Two-sided
We're going
it
with
is.
the two-sided.
That's good direction.
Two-sided looks pretty good,
Yeah.
I think.
I think it looks great.
Do we want to say depot or do we want a year?
So if we go four-sided, we can't do that.
Okay.
But for the two-sided, if we go two-sided, yeah, if we had a direction one way or the other, that'd be great.
I think East Dundee top and Depot on the bottom would be good.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I'm good with
Yeah.
For the two-sided.
On
For the two-sided.
For the two-sided.
On the four-sided,
Just East Dundee.
Mhm.
we might be, if we use this same font, because it's so vertical, we might be able to get East Dundee Depot arced in there,
Oh, right.
in the same font as yours.
Yeah,
So-
I think so.
text
Yeah.
right.
It would just
Text
be on the top.
wrapping. You don't want any
It's like
text
it is
wrapping?
in Excel terminology.
Okay, last question. If we can get East Dundee Depot on the top of the two-sided, would you want to also add the established on the bottom?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then the question is, if we're calling it the East Dundee Depot, are you still doing the established in town or the established at the depot?
No. We would not do establish of the depot, no.
Right.
I don't think
Yeah.
so.
The town's
Still
still.
Town.
established.
Still
I
town.
would agree with this.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, sounds good.
All the possible combinations we can come up with.
Mhm.
So just for clarification, if Depot, East Dundee Depot does work on the top, we still want established
Mhm.
1871.
for
Oh,
the,
Oh, I thought we said no to that.
I thought we were saying
Or
East Dundee top,
1887.
Depot on the bottom.
Well, that's option one. That is priority one.
Okay.
Priority two is if East Dundee Depot fits on the top, the whole thing fits on the top, then we put established in the bottom. And that's why I was asking established.
Right.
the established date,
That does make
because
more
East
sense.
Dundee
That's why I
top
was asking.
established might mean the village of versus the depot.
I think
established
that
of.
if we say East Dundee Depot, we should not put the established date on there, to be honest
Yeah.
with you.
Okay.
That's my
Yeah.
opinion on that.
I'm good with that.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know
I
if
mean,
that's disrespectful
we
to
got
the
two
people
different
that
dates
did
already
do
right
it,
here in our logo,
but
so.
it-
Oh, yeah.
I know, which one was
1871 or
accurate?
1887. Like, we've got to.
Split the difference and go halfway between.
Yeah, there you go.
we have to get Phil Leo to come in.
Yes, Phil will tell us.
Yeah.
Option
Phil
one
will.
is the location,
Uh-huh. Yep.
and then if four-sided is under 25, we go with four-sided.
Yeah, yes.
Installed,
Okay, got it.
not just for the
Poor Phil.
clock and installation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what we mean, right?
Yes.
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 And then, can you have them do renderings for us
Yes.
Well-
Sure, yeah.
with the color and the logo and all that?
Yeah, I spoke with the representative, and she said that they would most certainly do that for us, so. And, one more clarification, black with the gold.
Yes.
Yes.
Gold,
Yeah, it's a nice look.
regardless of whether it's four or two-sided, it's black and gold, okay?
Right.
Cool. Great. Any other questions for us on that? You good? You know what you're doing?
Got it?
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Then I think we need a motion for appointment item E.
I will move to advise and consent of the village president's appointment of Scott Cox to the Board of Police Commissioners.
Second.
Conversation and concern? I wish Jeff was here.
Jeff or Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Craig Martin is no longer on this board.
He's currently serving as a holdover.
And he's serving as the chair of that commission?
I don't know if he's chair.
Craig is the police commission?
Yes.
Yes, Craig.
Well, then.
So does the commission decide themselves who the chair would be once there are 3 people seated, or would Scott then be automatically assumed, if he was approved, to move into the chair spot?
I need to see exactly what the bylaws see to see if it's an appointed position by Jeff or if it's
Okay.
voted upon by the 3 members. I'm not 100% sure.
Right.
That's fair.
Do we want to consider tabling this until we have more information on that and Jeff here, or has everybody had a chance to talk to Scott?
I did.
I have not yet.
I have not had a chance.
I would
either.
prefer to table.
Or postpone.
Postpone?
Postpone.
Postpone to the next meeting?
And
What's the date of the next meeting?
July 15th.
That will hopefully,
Are you okay with
Yes.
that? Is everybody,
Yeah.
Yeah.
can we postpone all of them?
yeah?
Yes.
Because Jeff's not here, and
And
maybe
there's
we'll
3 spots
have,
on the
there's
council
3
list.
spots.
I mean, yes. I would just say, as far as the depot council, we need a depot council. And I don't know why it's taken this long to come up with these names.
Yeah, but this
When
is,
we have people more than happy on the website that
Yeah.
have volunteered to step forth, but we did finally find these 2 people after an exhaustive search. I think we should just put them, I think we should vote on those 2 people. Personally.
so here's what I'll say about that. That's 2 out of 3 appointments, so we still need a 3rd. We still would not have a commission, and no board members appointed.
Yeah,
So postponing
that's
or
true.
not, we
Yeah,
have
we don't
no
have-
commission
That's
with 2.
fair. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
This is-
It's still not what we need.
Yeah, okay.
I'm frustrated too.
Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. Okay,
How
I
many-
mean, yeah, okay, never mind.
Do we know
Thank
how
you.
many applications were submitted for the depot council?
7 or 8, and none of those were these 2.
Right.
These 2 applied after. So there were 7
Actually,
or 8.
one of them had applied to the Arts Council.
Yes. But these 2 had.
Previously,
Yeah.
but then reapplied.
Uh,
The depot.
So
Okay.
these aren't even any of the original 8 that were under consideration.
Right.
So,
And as you experienced with the Arts Council, there were people that were in that group, that original group that applied,
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
we evaluated and put
Yes.
forth, that have been ignored,
Yes.
that are active volunteers in this community already.
Yes. So this is not the first time we've had this problem.
Right.
Yes. Familiar.
So,
okay. So I will, am I gonna amend my motion?
Motion to postpone items 6E, F, and G to
I'm
July
going to make a
15th.
new motion. Okay. I will move to postpone items E, F, and G. Do we have to set a date for that
July.
postponement?
July 15th.
So when is the next meeting?
July 15th.
July 15th, thank you. 2024, that is.
I will second that.
Okay, trustee Mahoney,
Yes.
trustee Britton,
yes.
trustee Sauter,
Yes.
trustee Saviano.
Yes.
Trustee Schreiber,
Yes.
and trustee Kunzi.
Yes.
Alrighty then. I believe we have reports.
Mm-hmm.
Andy, you want to start?
No report.
No report.
No report.
Okay.
Oh,
I went on vacation to a town called Sonoya. There's some controversy in how you say this name, but at any rate, not important to the story. And they have a little historical society in their downtown. Inside of that building, they have 3 pictures, and they are all, I believe, 10 years apart. But what they've done, it's a small town like ours, actually, it's 3,000 people. What they've done is, each of those years, and I think they're 10 years apart, it might be 5 years apart, I can't remember. They invite as many people as they want to come down to their main street and do a giant picture of as many residents as they can get to come out there, and I kind of like that idea. Now, they do it on January 1st because they're in Georgia. We would have to do it on, I don't know, something else.
Yeah, June 1st.
Yeah. Maybe September.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can do it this year.
Oh.
Or we wait till next year and just do it on the 5s. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And then we could put those in our depot.
I love that.
I love that idea.
I love that idea. And I love it for next year and do it on the 5s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are East Dundee.
The other thing that I, not anything to do with Georgia, but I had an idea, and unfortunately it involves another commission. But I had a thought, you know, this art council that we started, awesome. And the thing about that art council is it's created things that I think none of us even considered when we started the arts council, right? Like it comes up with new ideas. So I had this idea of I guess you would call it like a community council that would attempt to come up with ideas to foster community inside of East Dundee. And that might be things like block parties or volunteering opportunities. And I don't know what else, but maybe if there was and it had some people that were community minded, they could come up with some other ideas. You know, and they could help with things like the Arts Council or, you know, other ideas that we have.
Or the Depot Council.
Or the Depot Council, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, that's one of those things that I love the idea of like expanding it, you know, and is that something that you wrap into the mission of the Depot Council or the Arts Council, depending upon what's most appropriate?
Well,
or do you see that differently?
Well, I guess I do see it as its own entity, but
Right.
just an entity that might help other entities.
Got it.
On time, you know, depending on what they can generate, you know, as far as volunteers and things like that. It's unknown, I would say, at this point, what they can generate, but I think it's worth trying.
There used to be an organization called Friends of East Dundee.
Yeah, I heard
I think.
about this. I heard about this after I proposed
Yeah.
this idea to somebody else,
Brad.
Andy, and it sounded like it was similar to what this idea is.
Okay. Yeah.
There's also, I can't remember exactly what the little sign on that I saw on Rosie's was, but it's like the business of East, like the business district of East Dundee or something like that. It was a previous organization, I think, similar to this, that really kind of generated a lot of word of mouth for the businesses. But I don't know if it was the same thing or if it was different. I love the idea. I'm nervous about creating another
So
committee
anyway.
at this point.
Yeah, you know, so anyways, that's my idea. And that's all I have.
See what other towns do. See if there's something similar in other towns.
What's that?
See if there's something similar in
Oh.
another town.
We can do a
We
little
can do
research
that.
on that.
I think also it could be a nice workaround to not having to create another actual council, because we see how difficult it is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, I was,
Well,
Yes,
I'm
an
speak-
ad hoc committee.
in
Yes.
ad hoc, yes, yes.
Doesn't require
Mm-hmm,
members to be appointed.
correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
There you go.
okay. Well, then how does it have numbers?
Volunteer.
volunteers.
All right, yeah, I mean, that's, the nuts and bolts of it, you know, I don't know, but it's just an idea that I have.
Great.
We'll do some
It's a very
research
good
and come
idea.
back with some
Yeah.
suggestions.
Mhm.
Cool. I don't have any, we're just gonna go around the table because I can't skip around.
That's fine.
I don't I don't have any report today. Erica, do you have a report?
Just a reminder that in September, on the 15th, we're going to do our strategic planning session. And the facilitator wanted a 6-hour chunk of time, which was extraordinarily long. We narrowed it to 4 hours, but they really wanted us to start at 5. So for that meeting, and that meeting only, we will start at 5 and go until 9, just to talk about strategic planning. So
Amazing.
if anybody needs to make arrangements with work and whatnot, I wanted to give plenty of advance notice that we were doing that September 15th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we bring snacks?
We will provide plenty of caffeine, snacks, sweets. dinner,
Required.
all of the
Snacks win me over every time.
And that is all I have.
Did you say September 15th on a Sunday?
No, it's a Monday.
Yeah, looking at this wrong. But the 16th? Oh, yeah, 16th.
16.
September 16th?
Mm-hmm.
I wrote it.
It's in your email
Yeah.
anyways.
Oh, I have it in my calendar already.
It is already in my calendar. It's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah.
Just checking.
It's Thirsty Thursday this week, so everybody come out, be safe.
Man, those events have been absolutely killing it
Yes.
this year.
And
Holy
hey,
cow.
chalk art, Wednesday.
Yes, Wednesday, chalk art.
Do the
2
chalk
to
art.
6, I think people are going to be out there. 3 to something. I don't know. There's an invite.
Cool.
But yeah, 3-ish. Come out for chalk art.
Awesome.
Village Attorney.
Oh, nothing, thank you.
Bronco. Chief.
No, thank you.
Brandis.
I believe we'll be wrapping up our sub-year audit. Hopefully, all goes well by the end of the month. And we'll have a presentation hopefully sometime in July or August. As you know, we'll have our individual strategic planning sessions virtually in July, and then we'll meet as a group in September, as Eric mentioned. That's it for me.
Thank you.
Just a quick item, we are very excited to report that we were informed today by Kane County that we are, aspects of our Bartles Park expansion project have been included on the list of projects to be included in their Bab Fox Water Trails Access Infrastructure Project.
Let's go.
That's fantastic.
So they came out and met with Eric and I back in late February, gave them a tour of the Bartles Park area. They really we're excited about our project and some of the things that we talked about, and so they've chosen us portions of the project. So we're going to be meeting with them in the coming weeks to really kind of hone down what it looks like for our portion versus the access portion of the infrastructure project.
I'm so excited.
That's amazing.
Yes.
What great
yes,
news.
Yes, it was just more late this morning, so very, very happy and excited. So more to come up in my bi-weekly this week. I'll run out more information and we'll continue updates as we move forward. So
Awesome.
Go team.
Yay.
Go team.
Thank you.
I think that covers all.
I do have one more thing, I'm sorry.
yeah.
Sunday's Wolfstack event, the depot rental.
Yeah, thank you. And then that covers staff reports. And I'll take a motion for going into executive session. What are the items?
Litigation.
C11. C11? That's it? Will anybody make that
Oh,
motion?
yeah, sorry. Then, do I know adjourn out of?
I will move to adjourn out of public session into executive session, closed to the public and media under the provisions of the Illinois Open Meetings Act, 5 ILCS 120/2, C11 pending litigation. We will adjourn from executive session, not coming back into public session.
Second.
Trustee Mahoney,
Yes.
Trustee Britton,
Yes.
Trustee Sauter,
Yes.
Trustee Saviano,
Yes.
Trustee Triber,
Yes.
Trustee Kunzi.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Should we just run right, go right into it?
Yeah, let's go right into
Let's rock
All
it.
right, thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you. I won't move. I said I won't move.
Usually we're like here.
I know. I'm okay.